in the Morning by Brindley, Hallam, Dennis. Chambers shook the broadsheet into shape, folded it closed, folded it into halves, folded it still at arm's length into quarters, stood, tucked the folded paper under his arm, reached for the briefcase with his free hand, held it close, flipped open the catch with his other hand, folded back the lid, and was caught. The briefcase in one hand, his other arm clamped tightly against his side. Awkwardly, he twisted his free hand back, grasped the folded paper, brought it forward with a twist, slotted it into the briefcase, smiled, folded the briefcase closed, clicked the catch, raised his head, glancing around the coach, and as the tube pulled into the station, stepped into the flow that would lead him out onto the platform, along the white-tiled tunnel, up the escalator, and out into the fall fresh air. You could set your watch by Chambers. He's dependable, absolutely predictable, Mary says behind his back. Unimaginative, but reliable. Unimaginative people are reliable. He wouldn't let you down. That's what I like about Chambers. What I like about Mary, well, that's a different matter. Of course, that's what Mary depends on. Chambers, being predictable. She plays on it. She knows her man. She knew that as soon as she married him. She could set her clock by him, out of the door, down the street, out of sight, out of mind for near on 10 hours. 9 hours, 45 minutes, to be precise. I visit Mary Tuesday afternoons, where Chambers is away. It doesn't have to be Tuesdays, not for me, but I guess Chambers has rubbed off on her a little bit. I don't mean like that, but well, maybe she lets him now and then. No, I mean, Mary, well, she's gone a little bit like Chambers, sticking to a timetable, to the one afternoon a week, the same afternoon, every week, like it was an appointment. I'm in a band. I play bass, fretless. It's the only way. Mary says, that's why I've got such strong fingers. I tell her, Mary, you want to play a 20-minute solo riff, you've got to have strong fingers. That's how we met, Mary and me. She came to a gig. She said, that was some solo. I get carried away some nights. She said, you must practice a lot to get that good with your hands. And she did air guitar, one hand up near her breast, the other down there. I said, I practice every chance I get. She said, and do you play only with these guys, or do you give solo performances too? She said, why don't you come round to my place and practice while Chambers is at work? She said, Tuesday afternoons are good. I said, Chambers? She said, my husband. She said, he's not interested in that sort of thing, and she did air guitar again, like that. Like that slow blues that the band did with Muddy Waters, and she swayed forward at each heavy beat. Chambers was over at the bar chatting to a young guy. He looked across, almost as if he'd heard, and nodded. Time you went, my love, she says. Give me time to freshen up the room and me. He'll be back in 35 minutes. 35 minutes. The way she said it, it was unusual, unnatural somehow, like the timing on a rota. At first I thought it was funny, the precision, the certainty. I thought she was joking. The second time, well, I realised it wasn't coincidence. I mean, you don't expect that sort of thing to take exactly the same length of time, do you? 35 minutes, I said. Same as last time, I said, isn't that a coincidence? There are no coincidences, my love. That's what she said. Not where my Chambers is concerned. He's a man of absolute predictability. That's how I can find time for you, my love. He'll come down that stream at 6:35 precisely. Not a minute later, not a minute sooner. What if he's held up? I said, or early? He'd phone. She reached out and picked up the mobile from the bedside table. "That's why I keep this handy," she said. Then she looked at the screen. "Time you be gone," she said. "I only allow 10 minutes. That's all a man needs to having a pee and getting dressed. That's all you need, I mean." "Thanks," I said, rolling out of bed. When she shut the door behind me, 10 minutes later, I suppose, I couldn't help thinking, almost wished I had a watch. I don't bother with a watch. What if he did come round that corner bang on time? Wouldn't that be something? I'd recognise him, of course. And you've seen me at work. Not like that, I don't mean, but he'd probably get a buzz off it, yeah, if he did see me. I always go the other way afterwards. I don't smoke anymore, but I walk up past the pub to the common, stroll across, take the tube at the other side, a little longer, but I'm not tied to time the way he is, or the way she is. The only set time in my week is when I go to Mary's. That day I wondered about walking the other way to the tube, hanging around till his came in and see what time he made it. Habit won over though. Besides, no point in letting him see me put two and two together. Poor bastard, with his folded paper and briefcase and lack of imagination. No need to rub his nose in it, so long as I'm rubbing mine. That's the trouble with being a man of absolute predictability. It gives others a chance to slip in, no pun intended, but to slip in between your comings and your goings. Like the red-faced guy on the platform when I get off, I bet you he's there every day, 10 to 12, regular as clockwork. Must do early shifts somewhere. Looks like he's done a day's work. We've started nodding to each other. Maybe he's seen me on stage. There are joggers on the common, the same three, two girls running out in front, a skinny guy trailing along behind, looking well, shagged. I give him a grin. "You're running, pal. We're not sweating any more than I've been." His eyes are glazed, his jaw hanging open. "Don't know what you're missing, boy. Burned off just as many calories too, maybe more." I could still smell Mary on me. Maybe even the jogger gets a whiff if he passes by close enough. Then I thought, how fresh and clean and perky Mary always was, just out of the shower. A new candle burning on the dressing table, the smell of just sprayed air freshener in the bedroom. Poor old Chambers, having his lunchtime sandwich, listening to the midday news, while I'm undoing buttons. Tuesdays, 12:05 precisely. I say, "Mary, I could do any afternoon. I could be free in the mornings." I say, "Mary, I could do more than one. You don't have to wait until Tuesday afternoon for me." She just smiles. Thank you.